Welcome to Turning Point. This is a special preview program for a new series that's coming soon. This series will highlight people's personal testimonies, their turning point moments on their spiritual journeys. We hope you're blessed and inspired by this special preview program. Welcome, I'm Connie Vandeman Jeffrey, and I'm delighted to have a special guest today, Angus T. Jones, who's with us for this conversation about turning points. Welcome, Angus.
How are you doing?
Great to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Now, Angus is best known as playing the role of Jake Harper on the CBS hit sitcom 2.5 Men. He's been acting since the age of 4, but there's a real specific reason that we've invited Angus today to tell his story. And Angus, before we get started on the turning point in your life, you said you started acting at the age of 4. You were from Austin, Texas. Tell me a little bit about your background and what got you from Texas to California to a sitcom and now to the story you're about to share with us.
Well, I was born in Texas, and it was Austin, Texas, where most of my family on my dad's side lives, and we moved to California when I was about 4.5 because my dad was going to start working for his uncle. That, being in California was just one of those things that my parents considered about like the acting. We were only like an hour away from LA, so my mom decided we'd give it a shot. I think then it was just kind of an idea to maybe make some kind of a fund for schooling or something for me in the future. And then,
have you had any background, acting classes, anything?
No, I think our neighbor, when we were in Texas, we did something when I was a baby, and I'd never been in acting classes, and I still haven't. But it was just, like I said, it was a fluke, and it was very like, it was, I want to use the term like it was very Texan way to just kind of like, oh yeah, we can do it, come on. And we went, and it just happened that I think it was like a commercial, like it was commercials that I was doing at first, and like the first few auditions that I went out for, I got the job, which is something that now that I see people, I know people that are trying to get into the business. Apparently it's not as easy as it happened for me. Mm-hmm. So I was definitely blessed and guided in that way. It's everything happens for a reason, I like to say. So
it is true, I believe
that.
Yeah. So you came out here, and then 2.5 Men happened for you when you were 8 years old? Or?
Yeah, as I was working, doing commercials and stuff, I began to get movies, and then when I was about 8, there was this show that was called 2.5 Men that Chuck Lorre and Lee Aronson, I guess, had created, and they had written one of the characters for Charlie Sheen to play, and they asked me to come in and read with. I met Chuck, and we did a read, and then I came in the second time, and I did a read with Charlie, and then a third time I went in and met with some executives and stuff, and I did a read with Charlie in front of like executives, and as we were walking out, they called us back in and were like, it's a done deal, it's you. And it was.
You're 8?
Yeah, I was 8 at the time.
8 at the time.
And I had, even now, if I was going to be making decisions like that or stuff that like, back then it wasn't like, oh yeah, 2.5 Men, we made it, like it's going to be here for 10 years, like it was just like,
clue.
It was like, cool, this is going to be a lot of fun. And looking back, like going through the years, like we have a break over the summer, and every time we leave for that break over the summer, when we come back, it's almost like we haven't even been gone. Like it's kind of it's family, mm-hmm. and it's all kind of a blur.
It's all kind of a blur. But then you kind of grew up on that show. You said that your parents put you in Christian school.
Yeah, I'd always while I was working, and I use the term working very loosely
because it was fun.
Yeah, because I always tell people that it's all play and no work. Mm-hmm. And I was always going to Christian school at the same time that I was acting and playing different roles. It was one of the things that my parents felt was important, because it was something that I was a normal kid. I had like the normal kid experience, other than the fact that I would be gone for a few months every now and then. But while I would be gone, the teachers would send my teacher on set the work, and I would stay right on with whatever the
With
kids
your
were
class.
learning. And so when I'd go back, it was like I would blend right in. So, and since I've only been to 2 schools, basically throughout my elementary to high school, I've never really had trouble with people bothering me or anything like that. It's always just been, yeah, Angus.
So you had a group of friends that you kind of hung out with all through school, and you said that something began happening to you. You began to was it towards your senior year?
Yeah, it was like midway through my senior year.
And this comes up to maybe what I would call one of your first turning points, because
Yeah.
you did kind of get into some, well, tell
Well,
us what happened.
There was a process that was started through family issues and just different set of circumstances in maybe 2 or 3 years ago that were kind of causing me to run away from who I had always kind of been. Like, when I grew up, I loved video games. Not necessarily I love video. I like to build Legos, and I wasn't like, I very rarely was even allowed to go spend the night at people's houses. And then through the set of family circumstances, I just found myself spending as much time as I could away from my home. If I could, anything I could do to not be at home was my plan, more or less. And it was a time of my life, senior year, I'd been accepted to college, and I didn't really know whether or not I was going to do the show for another year at that time. And just things were uneven or unsure in my life. I didn't have like, all right, now I have to make plans for the next 5 years and the next year, basically. And I was sitting with my friend, and I had said, what if the way we are living our lives and the plan we have using the way we are living our lives is not what's supposed to happen? What if that's not the right choice? And it was that time when I said that to him, I basically had the experience of the baptism of the Holy Spirit that was just like,
You said you felt like a cleansing,
it was
filling up of
complete.
something.
It completely felt like I felt like I was being hugged inside and out, and just like it was the best feeling ever. And I told him, I was like, well, I feel like I just accepted God, and that was something kind of weird for me in a sense, because I had always gone to this Christian school, and
you knew about God, yeah.
I knew God in Bible classes, and I believed God. I believed the God of the Bible was the right God. And I wasn't super convinced, but I had been, I was pretty confident, since that's the God that I knew growing up, that would be the right God. And I had another night where another friend, we were talking, and he had mentioned that he would totally, like, I had asked him what he would do in my position with the show and with college and all that, and he said that he would do the show hands down, simply because of financial reasons. And that coming from him, it hit me in a weird way, because I was sitting there, and that friend of mine is the friend that just wants an electric guitar, or wants an electric guitar to play, or wants an amp to play his electric guitar through, and just wants to, he's really talented at music, and just like has never had the opportunity to have a guitar lesson. And then I am in the position where I have way too many guitars that are dusty, and I had the opportunity to take many guitar lessons. And so I was sitting there, I was like, wow, why do I act like that? Why do I not care? And then the conversation continued, and we were just talking about plans and things in my life, and the way my life was going, and the way I thought my life was going, and the way I figured I was gonna do it. And he kept asking me a lot of questions, and it was a lot more than just a conversation with my friend.
You actually felt like somebody might have been speaking
yes,
through him.
Yeah, it had to have been the Holy Spirit. Whatever part of the Godhead it was talking through him.
Prompted you to really do some deep thinking.
It was one of those, another one of those huge changing moments. And you know, that next week I was out there at high school, and I was like, every day was great. It was like, all right, God, what can we do today? How can I, come on.
And you were filled, you were happy.
I was filled, it was excellent. And but the thing was, is I wasn't necessarily devoting time. I was more or less doing a lot of the same things that I would normally be doing. Even if I hadn't been trying to work for God, I was just kind of doing basic similar things. And the next weekend, I was kind of in the same kind of a slump that I was the weekend before. And I was like, this can't be, like, this is not right. There's something I was doing wrong or something like that. And so after that, I just started to try and go to different churches and meet different people and talk to whoever I could.
Because you were on a journey. And you know what? We're going to take a break right now. When we
Okay.
come back, we're going to find out where that journey took Angus and what church he ended up at. Stay with us. Welcome back to our conversation with Angus T. Jones on Turning Point. We're so happy that you joined us. We were just talking before the break, Angus, about you going to different churches. He was on a journey. He started searching. You had an experience, kind of God talking to you through your friends, and there was kind of a void in your life. I believe that, you know, all of us have kind of a God-shaped void until it's filled by God. And you were visiting churches. I mean, you learned stuff in Christian schools. You were kind of looking for God, and you started visiting a bunch of churches on Sunday. You said you'd go to how many on a Sunday?
Yeah, I would sometimes go to maybe 4 or 5 churches, like really.
You hit every service.
Yeah, I would go to separate, because you know, because I was going to a Christian school. I had quite a few friends that regularly went to church on Sunday, which is something that I had never gone. Maybe our family would go for Easter, but other than that, so I was going to a bunch of different churches, and I was really enjoying it. There was a few churches that I really liked, and there was some good messages. All the messages, like, definitely were helping me, and it was just, but it wasn't. I never really went to the church that was like, yeah, this is the people that I want to come to every week.
Where you felt at home.
Yeah, I didn't. I was doing a lot of learning, but not much. Like, I wasn't anywhere I wanted to stay, and so, you know, I was going to churches, and I listened to this this teacher named Ray Vanderlaan, who I guess he's based out of Michigan, and he is phenomenal teacher that looks at historical, cultural context of Scripture. And I was listening, and in one of his tapes, he mentions the very, and maybe not even so old, but just the really traditional and the really devoted Jewish people, especially during the times when they didn't have Bibles to just throw away. When they had one Bible for the town. During that time, when they would bring the Bible out, people would be, just when they would bring the Torah out, just like, and they would be so excited because the word,
sacred, yeah.
They would be so thrilled to just be, the fact that the words were on the paper was just like,
big deal.
He talked about women that would cry just because, and like people would, so I was looking for, I don't know, a church with just like a lot of fire, a lot of
passion, energy.
Yeah, and so a friend of mine had told me, and this friend was, now that I look back, he was always the friend that couldn't go out on Friday nights and couldn't really do anything until Saturday night, and like it was just always, we always kind of gave him a hard time because he never explained to us the reason for that.
Was he a Seventh-day Adventist?
He was. And so, or his family was, I don't know how much he was into it, but because he never talked to us about it, which I call him now and I give him a hard time because I'm like, man, like, what were you doing not telling us? And his friend had gone to a church that he said that he really liked that was kind of down the road from my house, and that church was Valley Crossroads, and
it's in Pacoima, California.
In Pacoima, and the first time I went there by myself a whole bunch of times before I started like have the opportunity to bring people, because like the first time I went there, I wanted to bring everyone. But I went there, and the message that the pastor was preaching was like like it was my message.
Just for you.
It was the situation I was in, the answer to the situation I was in. It was everything. He even said at one point, I'm speaking to someone right now. So so it was
You're like, hey, that's me.
yeah, exactly. It was just one of those moments that
That's a turning point moment, walking into that church, you know.
Walking into that church, it was like right along with all those conversations I had. It was just like, yes, this is it. This is my church. And so I continued. I went to that church a whole bunch, and for like maybe about a month or so. And at the same time, every now and then I go to visit with my friends at their churches. Then another important moment. One day I was supposed to be going with my dad to work, and it just happened that I think he was leaving at like 4 in the morning, and I decided not to go. And that day at like maybe 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock-ish, the Bible worker from Valley Crossroads knocked on the door and asked if I want a Bible study, and I was like, yeah, sure.
And his name is Brother Nelson?
Yeah,
okay.
Nelson Jones. And on my same last name, so
yeah.
So we had Bible studies, and he started.
He showed up unannounced, knocked on your door, and said, "Do you want a Bible study?"
Yeah, totally. It was a surprise, and like if I had gone to work with my dad, it would have happened later, or who knows. But it just happened that I didn't, and so he started showing me things in the Bible, and we did several Bible studies, and he was just like, he was going over things that the Seventh-day Adventists know very confidently, and I was just like, wow, this makes so much more sense. This seems so much more like God than a lot of the messages that I've been learning for 12 years in Christian school. And I not to say anything bad about my Christian school. I loved going there, and I learned. I'm extremely thankful for the base knowledge that I have on just stories and concepts, and and then also I get a perspective coming from that. It's not. I'm sure that it's different for people that grow up in the Adventist church, having never known what the full truth was, and just.
You're like learning it for the first time. Oh, you're learning all this. It's like you're soaking it up.
I totally am, and I felt like I'm probably learned. I 100% I've learned more about God and experienced God phenomenally more than I have in my entire life just over the last few months.
Wow.
And
when did you make your decision for baptism? Because you did get baptized
it
recently.
happened that my dad's sisters were in town for my graduation.
From high school.
And I think my grandpa, family members were in town. And my graduation from high school was kind of happened. It happened that people were coming in for my graduation, and at the same time there was this kind of a revival, kind of a meeting going on at the church where Helvius Thompson was speaking. I think he's from maybe Houston, Texas, and he was speaking, and so we had like services every night, I think it was. And so it was a Friday night, and the next Saturday was my graduation. And Friday night, it was basically everything had lined up to where I was able to get baptized that night.
Did your family come and watch you get baptized?
Yeah, I invited everyone that I could think to invite, and the people that I forgot, I felt so bad that I didn't invite them, because it's one of those things that I feel like it's a powerful thing.
A pivotal moment.
Especially since people that know me entire life and even go to Christian school come and see me get back. I don't know, like it was a powerful time, and a friend of mine who I had met maybe a few months before got baptized with me, and it happened kind of. He didn't know that I was getting baptized, and he made his stand like a couple weeks before, or a week before maybe, and then we got baptized on the same night, and that was really awesome. It was just really interesting because I had met him only, like honestly, like maybe a few months before, and he was same kind of situation, hungry for the truth and wanting to live the right way and do it right, and so it was awesome, an awesome experience.
And now you're actually, I mean, I hear you go to prayer meeting, you have a evangelism group you go
Yeah.
to on Thursday nights.
Yeah, Mondays and Thursdays I am a part of End Times Like These ministries.
Right, and Denise Johnson, who works at the Voice of Prophecy, and she and her husband have this ministry where they actually do it Monday and Thursday nights. They do training.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. It's not necessarily the class that we're going through right now is like we started it like a month ago, and it goes for about 2 months. Then after we have an internship at a church, but they offer online courses that you can just take by mail. He says that he has people all over the United States taking his class. They're getting it translated into Spanish so that Spanish people can take it, and they're getting it put online so you can take it 100% online.
Wow.
And God is really using their ministry powerful, and I am loving the class. It's so much fun.
Now I hear that you're learning to give Bible studies.
Yeah, I'm learning how to give Bible studies. I'm learning the door-to-door stuff. I'm learning lay evangelism. I'm learning a lot.
And you like this stuff.
Oh, this
Okay, so you're going to be like Brother Nelson, and you're going to go knock on people's doors and give Bible studies.
If I can get to Brother Nelson's level, then I will, I, of course, praise God all the way. But maybe me and him just be a team. I don't know. I'm always, because he's gonna have so much more. He's got a little bit of a time advantage on me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm learning how to get Bible studies. I'm learning.
In the few minutes we have left, Angus, I want to ask you something because you have a sphere of influence. I know that you consider the show that you've been on all these years, that was your work. You did that at work.
Yeah.
You now have an opportunity to actually kind of be a witness to people that some of us would never have the opportunity to even, speak to or rub shoulders with. So I think God has placed you in a unique place at a unique time in your life. And how do you see yourself actually witnessing? I can't see you taking a Bible onto the set and saying, can I give you a Bible study? But I think people are going to notice a change in you and ask you questions about God.
Absolutely.
What's happening in that regard?
And it's already, God's already been moving. He's already been preparing people, and basically I'm not the same person. And
do people notice that?
I'm sure they do, and the people have been coming up to me, asking me what I've been doing in my spare time, what's been going on, and if people ask me what I've been doing in my spare time, because I'm not in school, so I don't have to spend time on set, so it's a lot different being on set and not having to spend time devoted to curriculum. So people ask me, I'm like, oh, I'm doing a lot of work for my church, taking an evangelism class. They're like, oh, what's that? So God is definitely using it, and a few people from work have come to church, and I'm confident that I am there for a reason, for one more year, because otherwise, if I don't think I would be on the show this year if God hadn't kind of pushed me into it, because otherwise I genuinely didn't want to do another year of the show. And so I'm there for a reason. I'm so thankful to be there. It's a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that God will get the glory out of it.
God will get the glory, Angus. And before we close, why don't you share a couple of your favorite texts with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah. One of the ones I was learning, because I try and do a memory verse maybe not every so often, but like as soon as I memorize one, I move on to the next one. And the one I did a couple weeks ago was Romans 11:33 through 34, which is, "Oh, the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. For who hath known the mind of the Lord, or who hath been his counselor?" And I like that one, because we can sometimes get caught up in trying to analyze things and trying to figure stuff out and trying to be like, all right, so God says this and God says that, and so this is how I'm gonna make a decision. This is how I'm gonna talk to this person there. And I think we can run into some trouble sometimes with that, because we're not to live by sight. We're to live by faith. And God is going to do the work no matter what. We're inevitably going to get in the way. So we got to just read this, and show people what we're reading. because that's really what's going to make a difference in people's lives.
Do you feel that there might be some, in your future, you're 19 years old now, I can see you as a preacher, a powerful preacher for the Lord.
Whatever God has me do, I'm there 100%. I don't know what His plans are, and I always say if I knew what the plans were, I'd probably mess them up. So I'm just trying to stay in the middle, and Michael Johnson always uses the term, I'm going to stay in my lane.
Stay in your lane,
Yeah.
and let God use you in your lane.
Yeah.
There might be somebody listening now that really identifies with you. They've maybe watched you grow up, maybe they're your age. Look at the camera and just appeal to them to maybe make a decision for Jesus.
What I have to say to anyone that's kind of in the middle ground right now, and then in the valley of decision, as some people put it, I would have to say that you really, and this is one thing that the pastor's been teaching on lately, is you can learn about God. You can learn about God all you want. There's people that study theology all the time. You can learn everything about, you can figure out the for sure thing, like, did this person really exist? How did this happen? If the scientists say this, then how could this? You can learn about it all you want, but this Bible and this God is the truth, and you're not going to know for sure until you just throw yourself 100% into it and start experiencing it and applying the truth to your life, because Jesus said He is the way, the truth, and the life. And I can testify to the fact that this is the life. There's
Amen.
honestly, my life before this was there's no life, and I'm just I'd say that it's the greatest feeling ever to not have to worry about a thing, not knowing that you're going to be taken care of, and the things of this world don't matter whatsoever. So you just gotta be in God, so that He can use you to bring people to Him, because that's really what it's all about at the end of the day, is making people know God the way you know them. Because I know from my personal life, I want everyone to know how awesome He is and how comforting it is to be a part of His kingdom work, and eventually one day get to see Him in person.
Amen. Thank you, Angus, so much for being with us and
Thank
sharing
you.
your testimony. And thank you for joining us on Turning Point.